Welcome to Mad About Money. I'm Maddie Alexander-Grout, and this is the podcast where we talk to interesting people all about their interesting money stories. I am joined today by Ben Cook, who is an ADHD coach. Not really a traditional one. He prides himself on his unique approach and being a little bit rogue in his own words, which I really fucking love. ADHD is something that I know very, very well. So I think we're going to have a really awesome conversation today. Ben works with all sorts of different people, mainly late diagnosed people, which again, I can highly relate to. But also he's starting to work more with younger people, so like teens who are on their way to university, which is exciting because I think that is a very untapped market for coaching. So I think we're going to talk a lot about that. Ben is fairly new into my world. He's recently joined my membership, which I've just found out, which I'm very pleased about. And just from the very, very tiny amounts of small snippets of conversations that we've had, I feel already very aligned with him. So, Ben, welcome to the show. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Well, that would be a good place to start, wouldn't it?
Always.
Yeah, so I am Ben Cook. Thank you for inviting me onto your show.
So welcome.
I'll hit on the rogue bit first of all, because I think that's, if we talk about authenticity as a coach and what you want from your clients, you've got to start showing up as yourself. And I would say when I was new into the coaching world, not that long back, about 2.5 years ago, I was trying to follow all the models, the tools, the techniques. People were coming to me saying, I want tools, techniques, strategies. I want to be able to manage my ADHD. And for a while, I went with it. Mm-hmm. But then I said, well, actually, if we're going to find something that works for you, if we're going to find something that sticks, you've got to know who you are, what your needs are, so that you can make the right decisions. And I started working initially around people's identities, because with a late diagnosis, there's the mini identity crisis that was going on.
Yeah.
Often decades worth of de-shaming.
Mm-hmm.
Huge amounts of emotional dysregulation. But what I found was that when I was working with business owners who were often coming late to the party, they were having that mini identity crisis. They had run multiple successful businesses, but they'd lost themselves along the way. And they'd done it and my coaching quite rightly became far more person-centered than it had been. But I realized there were so many raw emotions that I was dealing with, and found that actually when people were their emotional, most vulnerable selves, that's when I worked best as a coach.
Yeah.
It's often the calm we can bring in the chaos. Can we bring the calm to our own chaos? Can we fuck?
Absolutely.
So
this is why there's no calm in my chaos. Like, I'm just chaos. I'm proud, it's all good. At least I know who I am. I mean, identity is so important, and I think for
critical.
Me, like it's actually been like the last 2 years or so that I've actually really found myself. And identity is so important when you are especially in the business world, when you're trying to show up and beat the competition. I mean, I'm very much about collaboration over competition. You can sense that because we do very similar things. But for me, I think identity is so important, because when we're showing up and we're trying to differentiate ourselves from other business owners, it's like there will be some people who want to come to me for coaching. There'll be some people who want to come to you for coaching, because I'm way too fucking sweary and way too all over the place. and not very structured. And
Sorry, we talking about you or talking about me?
Oh, maybe they want to work with both of us then. I don't know. Maybe we should share some clients.
Tag team.
But absolutely. But I think when you are trying to do that thing and you are trying to show up and be different to other people, you can't do that without knowing who you are.
No, you can't.
Especially like for me as a visibility strategist, when people come to me and like they're like, oh, I don't really know who I am. I don't really know who I am and how I want to show up. I can probably go like, right, go and see Ben first, and then come back to me, and then I can help you with the strategy on how you're showing up.
Yeah,
because it is so important. But late diagnosed ADHDers, I mean, fuck. Like, I didn't know who I was for 40 years of my life. Like, and when I first found out that I had ADHD, it was fairly obvious to me and everybody around me that this is why I hadn't been successful for the past 40 years, because I was trying to be somebody else. Like, I was following all of those neurotypical gurus online and then shaming myself because I couldn't do the things that they were doing. When actually, if I'd have been following people who I was more aligned with, maybe ADHD coaches, ADHD influencers, and people who are, just normal people who happen to have quite spicy brains, then maybe I would have actually been more successful early on. I don't know. So I'd quite like to know, what was your diagnosis journey?
Oh, sadly, I don't think my diagnosis journey is wildly different to many others. So I found I'd been working predominantly in a sales environment, sales and marketing for years.
Same.
I think the target, the little dopamine hits, the things to chase, that worked. The healthy competition, but also knowing
Did you work in recruitment?
I did for 3 months.
I think
but I got bored.
It's very much an ADHD job to do. I mean, I did it for 12 years.
Wow.
I mean, read my book. There's lots about it in there. Like, it wasn't a pleasant environment, because when you were saying about healthy competition, it was never healthy in recruitment. It's like cutthroat. It's like, if you don't hit those sales targets, you're all going to die, and it's all going to be horrendous.
That's why I only lasted about 3 months.
It's not for nice people. Nice people don't fit in the recruitment world, I don't think.
I'll tell my recruitment company friend boss to not listen to this, because she's lovely.
Do you know what? I think there are some ethical recruiters that can really get far, but I think one of the things that I always noticed in recruitment is that people got promoted into managers' jobs just because they were good at sales.
Yeah.
It didn't mean they were good at people. If you were good at people and good at selling, fabulous. And I think I would have been a really good manager, but I would have definitely had to run my boss over. In the end, I could have run him over, but I didn't. Like, metaphorically speaking. And to hear that story, you do have to read the book. But it was an interesting one. Not all people who are in recruitment are arseholes. Same as estate agents. There are some lovely estate agents, but predominantly not so much.
So I think I'd been working in quite a structured environment and learning to be creative, but knowing what my parameters were. The tools, the systems, the processes, everything was there. So I could go wild within those parameters. And then I went and worked in the charity sector. And information was everywhere. There was no order. But the biggest challenge I had was the fact that I was deeply passionate about the work I was doing.
Yeah.
But there was no order. So I was... other people
Are you ADHD as well?
No.
Oh, okay. Are you sure?
Other people, maybe.
I don't diagnose people on this podcast, but we're talking about patterns and order, and there's kind of a need for control there, which may be anyway. Carry on.
So I just found I couldn't make sense of things, but I wanted to. The passion was there. And someone suggested to me, because I was really struggling, I remember going to doctors and saying, I'm in the most multifaceted job role I've ever been in, and I love the job, but I just can't do it. I can't do what other people are doing, and I don't know why. And I hadn't made the connections then, but there was a head of programs who said, could be worth speaking to the doctor, see if it's worth exploring ADHD. Spoke to the doctor. Doctor said, it might be ADHD, but you've made it this far. You're doing relatively successfully. Yeah, I know, standard. You're doing relatively successfully. And there's probably not a lot we can do for you as an adult. So I sort of went off, tail between my legs, and that was it. But then revisited, saw a different doctor. This was 10 years back now. Saw a different doctor, but I went in with a clear message of I want to be referred to the mental health team. And when I was in there going through the questionnaire, it was yes, 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 yes. And yeah, I think things just started making sense when the diagnosis came through. And I think for about the first 2 or 3 years, I went round wearing a big shiny badge saying, "Hi, I'm Ben. I've got ADHD," without knowing what it even meant to me.
I've even got a shiny badge on my desk.
Yes.
My husband bought me for that at the weekend. How cute! Really nice. I've also got one that says neurospicy on it as well. But no, I mean, I totally get that, and I think it's so right for us to be talking about this, because there are so many people who go to the doctors and they get fobbed off.
Yeah.
Like they get fobbed off, or they get absolutely fucking terrified by the waiting lists and thinking it's going to take a really, really long time.
Yeah.
Which is where 100% right to choose, as it stands at the moment, is still available to people, and right
Except
to choose
in Wales.
Except in Wales, yeah, and Scotland. But in England, where most of our podcast listeners listen from, it's still an option. But I think it is. I mean, like with any medical condition, like we know ourselves, we know our brains, we know our bodies, and we know when something isn't quite right. And to go and for a doctor to say, like, you're kind of making this up, or there's nothing we can do for you, it's super disheartening. Like,
it can be pretty crushing. Yeah.
I remember, like, before I went to my doctors to get my diagnosis, I literally researched everything. And I basically went in and I didn't say, I think I've got ADHD. I went in and I said, I've got ADHD. And they said, what makes you so sure? And I listed all the things, and they were like, okay, we'll refer you. I gave them no option. I literally didn't give them an option, because I thought, do you know what? Otherwise, I'm going to be sat on this fucking waiting list for 7 years, 8 years, 10 years, whatever. I don't want to do that. And I actually managed to get my NHS diagnosis. I mean, it did help that I had a private diagnosis previously, which I threw in the bin because the company went bust. And anyway, long story. But I knew I had it.
Yeah.
There was no other possible explanation apart from possibly bipolar, which I'm still possibly there. We'll see on that one. But there was nothing really else that it could be. So I just went in with the courage of conviction and said, I want you to refer me, because we have to be sort of assertive with these things sometimes, because otherwise they do just brush us under the carpet. And it's like, no, like, I need help here. Like, we shouldn't be scared of help. Anyway,
that for me is one of the biggest challenges as a coach. You've got your big heart. You want to help as many people as you possibly can. But you can only advocate for so many.
And it's very sad that lots of people are falling through the cracks. And this is one of the reasons why I do this podcast, to help people to understand their brain without needing a diagnosis. And this is why self-diagnosis is so valid,
critical,
especially now. You don't necessarily, and there's lots of things on the market that can help with your brain. You don't necessarily have to be on medication. I describe myself as somebody who's on medication but also not on medication.
Yeah. Okay.
So I take my meds as and when I need to.
Yeah.
By the way, check with your doctors or your pharmacy that you're allowed to do that with your specific brand. But for me, I take mine as and when I need to.
Yeah.
And I don't take it at weekends because I have 2 children. And when I've got one train of thought and 2 children, it doesn't add up. They're like, I'm a money specialist who can't do maths. But for me, when I've got like one person going, mummy, 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 and another person going, mummy, 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 and my brain's in the middle, I'm like, ah. So I think like I made the decision to kind of come off my meds so that I could be more present for my children.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you don't. But it is kind of testament to the fact that actually, if you know and understand your brain, you understand the way that things are, and you can build up those coping strategies a little bit.
Yeah.
Then the awareness means that you don't necessarily need to go down the medication route. I'm not sure how you feel about that.
I completely agree with that. I think my approach that I lean towards now is more around feeling our way through coaching sessions. And if you've got emotions, if you can sit in them and learn from them, that's what we're taking forward for next time.
Absolutely. So I've got PMDD, premenstrual dysphoric disorder, which for anybody listening is essentially it's PMS on speed. I kind of make that joke because it's like PMS and then I kind of take speed almost. It's kind of like ADHD medication. We don't talk about that. But basically, PMDD is an incredibly debilitating condition. And I have lived with it for my entire life. I only got a diagnosis of it 3 years ago. But me being aware of it and tracking my cycle so that I know when it's going to come, so that if I wake up one morning and I can't stop crying, I don't think that I'm going insane and I don't think, oh my God, no one loves me and no one wants me. Instead, what I do is I go and post on social media and I'm like, I've got PMDD. PMDD week has shown up. Everyone hates me. I need to go and eat grass. La, 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 la. And then I get a load of people going, Maddie, everyone loves you. Shut up. You're being a dickhead. And then I kind of check myself and I'm like, right, I'm fucking Maddie Alexander-Grout. This is what I need to do. So it's anything. If you're aware of anything, you can reframe it. Now, I'm not in any way making light of PMDD because it is like I've lost a friend to it.
Okay.
Really sadly, one of my friends took her own life last year, and it's because she didn't understand it well enough to know that it only lasts, it's only temporary. Yes, it does come every month, but it is only temporary. And when you get out the other side of it, that relief is gone. But when you're in it and it is the worst, most all-consuming, horrible feeling, and I can completely relate to where she was. Now they're looking at testing drugs, they're looking at different things that potentially could help to lessen the symptoms, which is really good. But if she'd have reached out to somebody and said, I'm struggling, it's my PMDD week, I know I'm going to struggle in this week, I need more support. Like my husband, when it's PM, like these little badges, like my husband gave me all of these little badges because he was away working this weekend and he knew it was going to be my PMDD weekend.
Yeah.
So like he just knew that like I'd need a little bit of a pick me up. And he was on the phone all the time, checking in on me. Like even my kids, I talk to my kids about it. I'm like, Mummy's not very well this week. And they're like, where are we going today, Mummy? What are we doing? And I'm like, nothing. Mummy wants to stay in bed today. Just, and they're aware. But I think that awareness is powerful, really powerful.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think, what you said there is about letting people in, bringing people in, knowing who your people are. And that can be family, it can be other neurodivergents or people that just get and empathize with how you're feeling.
And this, I guess, to a certain extent, I mean, this is where my membership really comes into its own. And actually, I genuinely feel like my membership was one of the things that saved my life, because before I started it, I had no idea what it was going to look like. And all I knew was that there were going to be days where I didn't really want to show up as much. So I was just really honest. And I basically said right at the beginning, like, I'm going to show up on the days where I'm able to, on the days where like my disabilities are not getting in the way. I'm going to give you like 100%.
Yeah.
But then there are going to be some days where I might only give you 20%. but that's because I'm disabled. Most of you guys are as well. And I think, the more honest we can be about, especially in business, about how we feel and how we show up for our clients. If I'm in PMDD, like I had like 2 people message me yesterday saying, we've got a call book for Tuesday. Do you want to rearrange it? And I'm like, let's see how I feel on Tuesday morning. But at the moment, I feel like I'm okay with that. But my clients get that sometimes I might
gives you permission, doesn't it?
It does. And like having a group of supportive and amazing, inclusive humans in my membership where everybody puts kindness above everything else. And even though I am the person who they pay, I'm the person who shows up, I'm their leader, like in a weird non-Star Trekky way. But but they understand that I am also a human and I have to have boundaries and I have to put my health and my family first. And this is, where I teach people. It's about the values, and I'm very much someone who leads with my values. And you can't lead with your values unless you know who you are, right?
Yeah.
So it all really fits together. Anyway, enough about that. Let's talk to you about your money story. So I ask everybody who comes to us what their money story is. I would love to know what yours is.
I've always been shit with money.
Okay.
There we go.
Fabulous. I mean, not fabulous, but I actually genuinely love people who say they're shit with money because I can help them straight
I mean, as far back as I can remember, I remember at the age of 13, I wanted to earn the money so that I could then spend the money, and often it was spent before I'd earned it. But all I wanted to do was shower all those people I loved with gifts.
Yeah.
And I was going out of my way to do that. And that made me feel good. It's very rare that I've bought things just for myself. I've normally overspent, got into debt because I'm wanting to make other people happy, which is sort of actually just appeasing something, a deeper rooted need.
Yeah. I see this so frequently. Inherently, ADHDers are people pleasers. And the reason why we end up being people pleasers is because we live most of our lives, especially as late diagnosed, feeling like we haven't fit in. And when you feel like you don't fit in, you basically do anything that you can to try and fit in. And that involves often spending money so that you look good. It's the whole keeping up with the Joneses thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like you want to feel like everybody else, so therefore you have to do that spending, which is so common. And it's also we have the impulsivity in our brains, right? So when you have ADHD and your money is there and you are a kind person, because let's face it, being an ADHDer, we have hearts. We are inherently really good people who genuinely care about other people. We care about making a difference, within your charity work, you care about helping people. But we often put ourselves last, and putting ourselves last and having impulsive tendencies and people pleasing means that we spend money. So I want to say this now because most people who come into my world say they're shit with money. You're not shit with money. You've got ADHD. Your brain is a different operating system, and therefore how money appears in the world, how it appears in your bank account, how it is managed by you, all of these things are things that actually they're not you. You're not shit with money. Your brain needs to learn how to manage it in a neurodivergent way rather than a neurotypical way, but you are not shit with money. So I'm just going to say that now. Anyway, carry on with the story.
Thank you.
All the love. We've got this thing now, actually, where at the end of Visible Fest, anytime anybody left a call, I made them do that. I love it. I'm here for it. So here for it.
Yeah, so I think I'd say I'm better now, and there's less shame attached to the spending. and I can catch myself more, but that's only been from the inner work and knowing just some stabilizing questions to ask myself when I've got that emotional intensity and I want to scratch that itch. It's understanding what's beneath that, and actually I can scratch that itch in a way that doesn't leave me riddled with shame afterwards. Like you said, quite wonderfully. And again, the heart's coming out again. Everything about me is values.
Yeah.
And it is one of the core areas that I work on with my clients. And I think often, you can be deeply triggered by something and feel the need to spend.
Yeah.
But actually, it might just be that one of your values has been deeply, deeply suppressed. So actually understanding where that's come from, that learning can move on to next time, because it's that emotional connection with it. And that's when the penny drops.
Literally.
Excuse the terminology with
literally.
No,
it's good. I mean, I'm always here for a pun.
Nice.
Always here for a pun. But yeah, 100%. And I actually just want to commend you there for, on your own accord, coming to realize that you were struggling and actually setting those boundaries and those questions for yourself, because that is something that takes a hell of a lot of awareness. And when it's back to the awareness thing, whenever you've got awareness of a situation, that's when you can change it.
Yeah.
So coming from me having the most horrendous spending addiction from the age of 15 to about the age of 30, the only thing that changed my spending addiction was awareness. Addiction is one of those things that doesn't really go away. It's like if you're an alcoholic, you're probably always going to be an alcoholic, but you might have made the decision to stop being an alcoholic. But if you went back to it without that awareness, that's where that all changes. So,
and without that awareness, there's the propensity to then look for displacing alcohol with other vices. So
exactly that. So when I realised I had a spending addiction, I had to tackle the emotional first.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what you're talking about. And it's about setting those boundaries for yourself and thinking, like, what can I do to stop myself from spending? Can I put myself in a different situation? Can I do something? And the same again with like checking your bank account when you're dysregulated. That's like the worst time. Like, and I don't mean dysregulated necessarily as in like really sad or really angry. Like it can be like you can be really happy and check your bank account. Like if I'm really happy, like that's still some form of dysregulation because I'm in a heightened state of something.
It's an extreme, isn't it? Yeah.
It is. So when I'm in an extreme anytime, I do not ever check my bank account, which means that I have to actually get myself to a position where like, I'm like, right, I'm going to check my bank account. And I sit down with a cup of tea and a blanket and I get myself in the zone. So I'm not any form of emotion. I'm doing a thing, which is checking my bank account. So that I know if it's something I don't want to see, I'm not going to go into a spiral and panic because money is just an energy. If we don't have enough of it, we can try and find more of it. There's always more money to go around. But if I'm like happy and there's more money in my bank account than I expect there to be, I don't go, yeah, fuck yeah, I'm going to go buy all the shit from Shein or Amazon or wherever. So it's about having that awareness. But genuinely, I know that I am a spending addict, and spending money is annoyingly something that you cannot cold turkey. You can't just go, I'm never going to spend money again. You have to do it. So it's about regulating and managing that.
Yeah.
And without, again, knowing who you are and understanding your brain, it's very, very difficult to do that. Hence why I wrote a fucking book about it.
And let's look at the fact that you've got 2 kids, I've got 2 kids, and sometimes when your brain just cannot take any more and you just think, if I throw money at you begging for this, is it going to make you go away?
Yes. Oh my God. Like, this is 100% why I do not take my kids to the supermarket, because if I go to the supermarket, they're like, Mummy, can I have a magazine? Mummy, can I have a magazine? And I'm like, no. And they're like, can I have a magazine? Oh, fuck off, just have a fucking magazine.
But it does mean we have free reign to laugh at other people.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the supermarket
Absolutely.
with
Yes,
that ordeal.
very much so. But yeah, and this genuinely, like, ADHDers have ADHD tax, right? Which is an average of 1,700 quid a year. I would say for like mild ADHDers, because mine has been in the past way more than that. But my kids have their own ADHD tax. So they lose 878 water bottles at school every year. They break 556 toys a year. They ask for things that you know full well that you're eventually going to give into, because it's just better for your nervous system and your emotional regulation to just say yes, fuck off. So I've actually recently bought in a rule. So we're actually now giving the kids, I don't know how old yours are, we'll get to that. Mine are 6
10
and
and 12.
There you go. Right.
So how old did you say?
6 and 9.
6 and 9.
So,
how unlike ADHD is talking over each other.
Yeah, fine. It's all good.
What's that all about?
But we're allowed to do that. Like, people are used to it with this podcast because it's every fucking episode. But so basically now I've got to the point where I'm actually saying to the kids, look, I'm fucking sick of you guys asking for stuff. I'm going to give you your own allowance. And actually, I'm going to give them a fair amount of money every month. That is their money to do with what they want. If they want fucking Roblox or V-Bucks or whatever crap they're buying online, it's their thing. When they've run out of their money, and I say to them, like, this is for your sweetie day, this is for your magazines, this is for the mummy, can we go and get waffles after school? This is for literally.
Have you got enough money to? Yeah.
Have you got enough money to do that? And then it is their decision if they want to do it. And it's teaching them about money, but it's also separating them from asking me all the fucking questions all the time.
Yeah. But that's the thing. It's a small but simple thing. And actually, I'm sure you've come to that realization yourself that if you actually added up all those individual times where it fries your brain with the questions, can I? If you're in a position where you transfer ownership to them and it's for you to manage, and now you understand that this will only go so far, the amount that you spend, well, in a perfect world, is considerably less, but it is that learning.
Yeah, I mean, I can very much see at the beginning it's going to be like, mummy, I've spent all of my money in the first day, and I'm probably still going to end up with those questions at the end of the month. But they're going to learn eventually, right? So we've always had very open money conversations in our family, like to the point where, you know, when we go to the supermarket, I will get the kids to look to see which one out of, like, you know, if they're going to buy ice creams, I'm like, right, well, what do they all cost?
Yeah.
Like, which one do you think mummy is most likely to buy you? And, you know, they're allowed luxuries. It doesn't have to be the cheapest, but I want the one that's the most value. So my kids are like, right, okay, so we look at the price per unit and then we work out which one it is. And actually that one's cheaper than that one, mummy. So we can go for that one because although it's more expensive, it's got 6 in it instead of 4. And those are life skills that they do not learn at school.
Completely agree.
For me, it's about empowering them to make those decisions so that when they get to adulthood, they don't go, like, I mean, I think we all probably went through that university stage where, like, we have a budget, we know how much we're supposed to spend, and we go and blow it all on beer and wine. Or I don't know if that was just me, but, you know,
no, it's definitely me as well.
Yeah, I mean, because they're the fun things, right? And, you know, we spend money on things that are dopamine seeking because we need to or want to. And this is why when I work with anybody as a money coach, like, I work out what your goals are, what your values are, what things give you joy. So if you come to me and you say, Maddie, can you help me to sort my money shit out? And I go, cool, yeah, let's sit down. I'm not going to get you to, like, you know, if you have a daily coffee at Starbucks or Costa or whatever, or, you know, if you like to have a takeaway on a Friday, instead of making you give that thing up, I'm going to help you to work out how you can afford it and how you can make it work within your life to free up more money. Because there's no point in going and working with somebody on their ADHD money stuff and going, hey, yeah, you can stop having that coffee every day, you fucking arsehole. Like, I mean, nobody wants to be shamed about their money situation. If you
No.
want to spend money on something, like I have a specific pot in my bank account for crystals, because whenever I go
What,
somewhere
sorry?
new, crystals. So
Okay.
as in like like crystals. So like these type of, that's a stone. It's not a crystal at all. This is my crystal pot. So I'll show you. Like I have hundreds of like shit, just throwing them all over the place, like crystals, gems, stones.
Ah.
I'm a very spiritual person, and also I didn't realise how.
Well, you talked about energy earlier, so yeah.
Yeah, I quite like my spiritual stuff. So like whenever I go somewhere new, I'm like, I want to buy a crystal. And they're generally between like £2.50 and £5, so they don't break the bank. But I've got a pot for them. So I know that I'm not going to go, oh, I spent money on something I shouldn't have spent money on, because then we shame ourselves. If we actually set aside our money and we have money available to do the things that we want to do. So if you want to go to the pub and watch rugby or football or whatever with your friends, and you've got a pot and you've saved 50 quid that you can go and spend on beer, you're not going to wake up on Sunday morning. I mean, you might have a sore head, but you're not going to have a sore wallet because you planned that thing.
Yeah.
So for me, that's why, I mean, like, yes, I big myself up a little bit, but this is why I'm not a boring money coach. I'm not someone who's going to tell you what to do. And also I don't do that much money coaching anymore, because like it's all in my app. Mad About Money, shameless plug. Go and download it. But you can work with me a little bit more on a group basis, and I help you to sort your mindset out and realize that you can actually do it, because money is not hard when you understand it.
Yeah.
And you have to understand your brain and your bank balance at the same time to be able. It's a very complex situation, like money and shit. Like anyway, let's get. So, how did you decide then that you wanted to be an ADHD coach?
I think it's much like a lot of people who've become therapists or who've become coaches. Often they've experienced the transformational power of those services. And I think coaching for me was the first thing that seemed to hand power over to me to write the rules.
Love that.
And what made me go into coaching was I'd always had that drive to help people. I'd always wanted to make a difference in every job I'd done before. Like when I was in sales, I was told that, I get buy-in rather than selling to people.
Yes.
I make business personal. There are all these wonderful quotes, but it was always about people. It was always about making a difference. So the charity sector was a very natural move for me. But I'd struggled a lot with my mental health over the years, anxiety, depression. And I've always been very open about those struggles, because where I found a way through that, sometimes if I can reach one more person with that message of something that's worked for me and help them, the ripple effect is phenomenal. And there was just a really broad mix of things that I'd done where I knew I could influence others.
Yes.
I'd been called words that I found deeply uncomfortable. Like,
we were going to talk about words we didn't like.
Yeah, well, being called inspiring. It's like,
So I like that.
Yeah, but I can live with it now.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It now sits comfortably
word, isn't it?
with me. Yeah, well, I think often too many words are bandied around and used too liberally. Danger of going off on a tangent, but what I found, I wanted to help people. I found I was naturally helping people being open about mental health.
Yeah.
I always gave a shit about people's well-being. And it wasn't necessarily about being a people pleaser. It was more knowing that
it's about being a decent human, right?
And this is something I can give other people. This is something that I naturally do. So I initially trained as a mental health and wellbeing coach.
Mm.
So the basic foundation was there. That was my knowledge, because that's where it was coming from for me. But then I went ADHD specifically because I wanted to provide a service that I felt hadn't necessarily been available to me. I have had some of the most incredible coaches, but I think you can pick a coach based on where you're at in your life and what your needs are. People have said to me, "Oh, you're working with a different coach now, are you?" It's like, yeah, because then, it might have been I was working with Maddie because I had real issues around my finances, etc., etc. Then I went and worked with so and so who works perhaps more with entrepreneurs, creatives. Then there was someone over here that I worked with, and it was more, you get what I'm saying.
Totally get it. Just so you know, though, I actually, like, I'm not. I said this the other day when I was speaking. Someone said, like, what do you do? And I always describe myself as a multi-potentialite. Some people are like, what's that? And I'm like, it's like, when people say, like, jack of all trades, master of none. Like, I'm a jack of all trades, and I'm actually quite good at some of them. So that's kind of where I sit. But, like, for me, it's like I was a money specialist for like 10 years. And then I went into the ADHD money thing, and then I wrote a book about it, and it's what the press know me for, and it's like all of those things. But my passion now is helping people to show up as their authentic selves. It's all about visibility. It's about social media. It's about TikTok. It's about video. It's about podcasting. It's about speaking. Like, so I've kind of changed over the years. So I guess, like, some people, I guess, kind of stay with me because I learn new skills, and I also get really bored really quickly. So I have
they like what you stand for.
Yeah, and that's like, people work with me because I'm like, again, it goes back to the values. People work with me because I'm like, I actively show up and I actively talk about my values, and
you're believable because that vulnerability that you bring.
So I am what you see is what you get. Like,
same, unfortunately.
people always say to me, like, when they see me in real life, "Oh my God, you're just the same as you are online." I'm like, why would I not be? Like, how I show up as myself is like exactly what I'm like if you meet me in real life. And my values are still there, my beliefs are still there, my knowledge is still there. It's like, I am definitely, like, and this is why when they said, "Oh, we're going to censor your book, we're going to, like, edit all of your swear words out," I was like, what? Like, I don't want my clients coming to me and being ultra shocked by how sweary I am. So that was when we kind of, like, we compromised, and then we ended up with the fuck glossary at the back.
With what glossary did you say?
The fuck glossary.
Brilliant.
So in the back of my book, there is literally, like, a fuck glossary. I'll show it to you, just so you know. There you go. The fuck glossary.
Yes.
So the fuck glossary is basically, like, I changed all the 342 swear words in the book into funny, silly words, and then at the back it gives an explanation of what they mean. They basically all mean fuck.
Yeah.
So, but that's me doing things differently, because I don't do things the same as other people. I do things in my own very Maddie kind of way. But I think that's what makes us interesting, and it's the thing that separates us.
It really is. It really is.
Yeah. I'm going to ask you one more question as well, because I feel like, when we first started on this call, I explained to you how the podcast works, and that I'll tag you on Instagram. You don't actually have an Instagram, so I'm going to give you. So you are a very knowledgeable person who wants to go out.
Keep going.
Yeah.
Keep going. Yeah.
After the podcast,
there's my fluffer. There she is.
But so you are an intelligent person. You are a kind person. You are somebody who has lots of knowledge to share with the world. Why are you not showing up on video?
Oh,
that's a hard question, isn't it?
Oh, and that's why you've taken so much pleasure in asking it. Damn you.
I mean, like, you have just joined my membership, but I'm going to push you to do this because you can make so much more impact in the world by showing up authentically online as yourself and doing video content.
And you know what? I have absolutely nowhere to hide, and nor should I hide, because that devil of imposter syndrome.
And I never want to make anybody feel bad. What I want to do is I want to empower you to realise your strengths. And I think that for somebody who's got so much in their head, so many things that they can impart onto their clients, it's going to be something that's going to get you more business, make you more money, and get you more visible. And mic drop, boom, and we're done.
I know. Just you know what? This is the only thing, and I am quite happy to say this is something that I would speak to a coach about. I'm quite happy to be open and vulnerable about things.
Yeah.
In a former guise, I did some social media consultancy.
Okay.
What I found was I disappeared down too many rabbit holes with social media. So the problem for me is I need to work on a social media strategy. I need to work on something that works for me.
Abso-fucking-lutely. And you know what? Like, I don't even have to sell the membership to you because you've joined it already. But Invisible to Influential is exactly that. So I give you trainings, I give you coaching, I give you daily accountability, and I review all of your content to help you to show up as the person you need to be without going off on tangents, without burning yourself out, without making yourself feel like you're doing it all wrong, because I've done it all wrong for years and years and years, and I've learned so much that I can make sure that everybody else does it right.
Absolutely.
I'm going to give you an example here, and I'm going to talk about one of the membership, because she is absolutely epic. And I'm like a lady called Kelly. So she runs a business called Vivid Lux Glass. She makes the most beautiful, beautiful stained glass things. And she makes these things called bee bowls, which are like, they're little bowls that bees can drink out of. They're super cute.
Oh.
Anyway, adorable. But she also makes like lovely garden flowers and like all sorts of things. She was like, oh, I don't think TikTok's for me. Don't think video content's for me. And I was like, mate, like video content's for everybody. You just have to know how you need to do it and like how you need to show up. And she's in the membership. She often comes in and she's like, oh, I'm feeling a bit flat. I don't really know what to post. Like, so I give her some ideas. She goes and posts them. She had a video yesterday that reached 1 million views. And she's posted about it in the group today. If anyone joins the membership, you can go and check her out. You can go and check her out as well, Vivid Lux Glass on TikTok. She had a video yesterday that hit 1 million views. And she was like, oh my God, Maddie, I should have listened to you. All I needed to do is keep going. It's like, that's exactly what you needed to do.
Yeah.
And so many people come into my world and they're like, they don't know what they want to do. They don't know what their confidence is. They don't know where they are. She's made sales from it. She's increased her following from it. She's got this massively viral video. It's given her a massive confidence boost. And she's got her products out into the world. And she knows that people actually like what she's doing. And sometimes it's not just about who you can help. It's how other people can help you with your confidence.
Yeah.
And that imposter syndrome that people often feel, it's taken away as soon as you get that first video that does well.
Yeah.
And then you might get like 10 more that don't do very well. But it's about the showing up. And the more you show up, the more you can help other people. And it's a circle of life and love and like...
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, like I said, I've got nowhere to hide. I know and see and feel the impact from my clients. And yet, I think it's... I know it's because I've been looking at things differently, and I'm coming late to this bloody blatantly obvious realization that the more visible I am, the more people I can help, and that's ultimately all I want to do.
Mic drop, and I think that is all we've got time for. But I absolutely love that. Ben, have I changed your opinion about being on TikTok and Instagram? Do you think you might get
No, not at all.
I mean, like, so let me just say this, like, when I share these podcast clips, I want somewhere where I can tag you so that people can come and find you.
Yes.
Because I
Okay.
think this has been an absolutely lovely conversation. I think we've had a great, 50-minute chat, and I think people should go and follow you. So I'm not even going to ask you what your links are because we don't know what they are. But as soon as you've set that up, I want you to send me those links so that we can chuck them in the show notes, so that I can tag you when this video goes out. You have literally 2 weeks until it goes out. So I'm going to help you to get started. And I think you are going to realize that your power is so much deeper than where you currently are now. And on that note, thank you so much for being on my podcast.
You're welcome. This has been,
Oh,
I was just going to say, this has been Ben Cook of Good to Think Differently.
amazing. Are there any links that you do want to share with people? Ones
Of course.
that you have?
Brilliant.
So, like, you can tell them now, or I'll grab them from you afterwards. But we'll find you. We will find you. It's wonderful to have you. Thank you everybody for listening. I hope you've enjoyed the podcast show today. If you have, make sure that you hit subscribe on any of the platforms that you're listening on. Share this podcast with your friends. If you know other people who have got ADHD, who struggle with money or business, this is the podcast for them. It will help them with their brains, it will help them with their money, it will help them with their business, and it will also help them to identify with other people a bit more as well. Download the Mad About Money app. It's not in the App Store anymore. It is now on Heartbeat. You can head to any of my Stand Store or my website or wherever to find the new link. I've been Maddie Alexander-Grout. I probably still will be next week as well, unless I've changed somewhere, I don't know. But my handles are Maddie Talks Money on Instagram, Mad About Money Official on TikTok. We will see you next time. Thanks for listening.